The Soundwave Chronicles podcast, brought to you by FD Productions, engages in conversations with pioneering musicians, producers, and experts from the music industry. We get the inside scoop on what it takes to make it in the music industry today by delving into the sources of their inspiration, their creative process, and much more as we explore a wide range of their experiences. I am your host, Afterlove, and I want to welcome you today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. DJ Diezel is in the house.
How you doing?
And I am super stoked, and for multiple reasons. First of all, we're going to talk about his career, his accomplishments, some of the really interesting things he's done over the past few years. And he's local. That makes it even cooler. I mean, we've been interviewing people all over the world, and we got a local, talented artist right here with us. DJ Diezel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you guys.
You're very, very welcome, and I appreciate you taking out time from your busy schedule to be here to schmooze with us. So I'm not going to talk too much about the intro, the bio for you, because I'd rather kind of hear it straight from you.
Okay.
But you've done quite a few things, and you're a veteran in the field.
Yeah, I consider myself still a rookie, but I guess you could say that I've put some time in with my career so far.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now, where did you get started? Where and when? How long ago?
So it's a funny story. I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. My parents wanted to move here to West Hempstead, and I didn't want to move away. I wanted to stay, with my friends. I wanted to go to school there.
Uh-huh.
I was just starting high school, and but I was into DJing. I used to listen to Funkmaster Flex on Hot 97 every Friday, record mixtapes.
Funk Flex, did you say?
Funk Flex, yeah. That was my guy. Him, Red Alert was on 98.7, and I would go back and forth on a Friday night listening to them and recording on my father's tape deck. But that's when I first got introduced to that whole DJing thing, and so I told my father, if you want me to move to Long Island, you got to buy me DJ equipment.
I got to tell you,
that's how.
Before we continue, I see Funk Flex all over my feed all the time.
Yeah.
There's something about the algorithm that I guess they feel like I should be interested in what he has to post. I mean, but half of the stuff that he posts are just interesting news about just like the world and controversial stuff. Very little to do with music, but I don't know if you see these posts from him.
I don't see them. Okay.
It's me and Instagram,
Yeah, I guess
we got this love-hate relationship.
Algorithm, I guess.
Yeah.
But so my father bought me DJ equipment, and we moved to West Hempstead.
So about what time was that?
94. I was 14.
Okay. So you're truly a veteron.
Yeah, I played, learned on vinyl, taught myself.
Uh-huh.
The first pair of turntables my father got me were belt drive. They were like, if you sneezed, the record would skip. And that's how I learned how to scratch and mix. And then when I got techniques,
real way, right?
The real way.
The real way
That's what I learned. Yeah. So then I got techniques, and I was a pro at it.
Uh-huh.
And so I played hip hop. High school, I would do high school parties or whatever. And then when I graduated high school, my father's like, either you go to college. I wanted to go to music school, but I wound up going to work for him. So I took a little break with the DJing, and then in 2000, I'd say early 2000s, I got into house music. Going out to Crowbar, Sound Factory. I became friends with a lot of top DJs, and not even the DJing aspect of it is what made me want to come back. It was the production. Being in a club, having these guys who are DJs, because I was DJ'd, and but now they're producers, and to have their track on with hundreds of people loving their music, that to me personally is an art. DJing's an art, but when you make your own music, there's just something more to it.
How do you beat that?
I feel. And that's when I was like, you know what, I want to get into house music. And first thing, if I ever announce that I'm going to start DJing again, I need to learn how to produce. So I taught myself how to produce. I didn't go to school. I sat there for a month and learned whatever program, and there you go.
When you say I didn't go to school, I wonder about all the great producers out there, in the pop scene. How many of them actually went to school? I don't know.
Everybody has their own story, and for me, I don't think it's right or wrong either way. I think whatever you have to do to get to where you want to be, that's fine with me, as long as you get there. If I felt that I needed to go to school to learn, I would do it.
So what you're saying is really just boils down to the passion that you have.
Yeah, I guess
in production.
It's just how bad you want it. I mean, I would still go to school to learn other things, because there's so much that's involved with music production, mixing, mastering. That I'm not a master at, but I can make a track.
Pardon the pun.
Right. But I can make tracks. I can DJ, and you send out your music to be mixed and mastered by professionals. But that's something I would like to get into. That would be my next thing to get into.
Sorry. So your next. I'm sort of jumping the gun here. I was going to ask you about that, but the next thing that you're interested in doing,
I would like to learn the art of mixing and mastering, and then mix and master maybe some other people's tracks. But that's like something later on. That's not right now at the moment.
So at the moment you're working with other professionals.
Yeah, I work with other people I send my music out to, and they finish it off for me, and then I send it to the labels to be released. So
right now you're working on techno. Is that correct?
Yeah, most of my releases are techno. I'm in the techno genre, but it's more like a tribal tech feel. It's not pots and pans, the same kick drum.
Percussion.
Yeah. So you a little percussion in there, a little Afro flavor, a little Latin flavor, and, mix it up. So that, I remember back 2014, I was at BPM, and I remember one of the artists, we were like walking through the streets to go get something to eat, and they were like, there's like a new subgenre of techno, we're calling it tribal tech. And ever since he said that, I was like, that's actually, I like the sound of that, mixing tribal with a techno sound, and that's basically what I do. Yeah,
and there's something really amazing about being able to connect with people across borders, across political, barriers and cultural barriers, religious barriers. So you're able to kind of get an international audience in a sense with the tribal tech.
Yes, yeah.
So you've worked with like Stereo Productions. You've released music through Stereo Productions, Nervous Records.
That was my first release, Stereo.
And what was your first release? What was the
first release? Well, my first actual legit signed release was with Stereo Productions, a track called "Sound the Beating Drum," and that was my first real label that I signed to.
And when was that?
2000, and I signed it in 2017. It was released in 2018.
Cool. So you've been doing this for a while, and now and then you moved to other labels. I see like you released through Nervous Records, Magna Recordings.
Yes, 1980 Recordings. Funk Tracks was another big label that I released with.
Now, did you have a favorite label that you worked with?
My favorite label is Nervous Records.
And why would you say that?
It's just growing up when I first started DJing. The first record my father bought me when I was a rap single from Smith & Wesson called Bucktown, and it was Nervous Records. And then when I was a kid, my father was like, the DJing stuff is cool. He said, but you need to be a producer if you really want to make it.
Your father said this?
My father said this to me when I was young. He's like, one day, he's like, you want to impress me? Come through that door and tell me you're a music producer. And I did. But I always said to myself, I'm going to release on this label one day. I'm going to be a producer for Nervous Records one day. And here we are.
Now, I have to say you're blessed from my vantage point.
Okay.
Because to have a father that sort of encouraged you within the career that you chose is I would say is a blessing, because I can tell you personally, somebody who's in the music industry, that was not my initial, that I was not initially supported by friends and family. They were concerned.
Right.
So what I'm hearing from you is that's a big deal.
That's mainly because my father's a self-taught guitar player. He's a guitar collector, and his passion is music, and I guess I inherited that. So,
amazing.
like me, I was with my father yesterday, that's all we talk about now is, music, how's your career going? And, yeah.
And how about your mother?
My mother's, she's supportive, she's, but not like my father, because my father has a love for it. He has like 100 guitars. God knows what they're worth. They just collected items. You go in my parents' basement, it's just a string of, like a line of guitars.
Now, do you work with live instruments when you produce your music, or is it just mostly
so I have a lot of stems that I just, I get from other people. I have recorded live drum for my track Feel My Body. But it just depends. If I have someone who's inclined to play an instrument and they want to record, I'm all up for it.
Have you had your father record on the track?
Not yet. I'm pushing him to do it. He gets a little shy for some reason.
You're doing big things
coming.
now. So.
It's going to come, yeah. He's starting to ease up into it.
Well, that's the nice thing about recording. You can be shy and still kind of express yourself.
I think he's he got stage fright, my father, because he's never really performed in front of a crowd. But he's very talented. Can't read music, but he can play any chord, and like guitar wise, he impresses me. Like I don't know how anybody could self-teach themselves.
It's really about the ear, isn't it?
It is the ear, but like I tried to play guitar, I couldn't get it, and he just does it. But it's just magic.
But you do other things well, so.
Right? I do other things well. Yeah.
Very cool. And you obviously have an ear if you're producing.
Yes, I have an ear. Yes.
And I'm assuming that what led you to be such a good producer and to get picked up by labels is you spent a whole lot of time listening to music.
Yes. Yeah, music is my passion. That's what I love.
Yeah. Was there anything specific that you really loved growing up, listening to, other than Shostakovich and?
Yeah. My actual favorite genre is R&B.
R&B. Okay.
Yeah, I grew up listening to Boyz II Men, Color Me Bad, Shy.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that. My father, is into that too. He was like into doo-wop. And then he would be into like singing groups, R&B, so me and him used to listen to Boyz II Men together.
Boyz II Men.
On a Friday we'd come home from work and I'd throw on some new group that came out. He'd be like, "Hey, who are these guys?" We would just play it for a week and listen together. So yeah.
Those were the days.
Rap music too I was into, but not now. I just don't like the change it's taken.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, like this trap music thing and this mumble rap, it's just not for me. I don't have anything against it. It's an art form, and if there's fans out there that obviously they love that, that's their thing. Like growing up, my father didn't like rap music. So I guess I'm the older generation now saying that this new generation isn't real music, but it is music. It's just not something that I take a liking to.
Yeah, so maybe it's I don't know what you attribute it to. I kind of think about this a lot. Somebody in the music industry, I feel like there's always a tension from generation to generation.
Always.
Like every 10 years.
It's change.
It's like they didn't do it right. And then the next generation,
it's not what you're used to. It's not what you grew up on.
Yeah.
I like the old 90s hip hop. That's my favorite hip hop thing there. But this new one, I just can't get into it. Like even like Drake, I'm not into Drake. He's cool, so I was like, I'm just not into it.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm not going to spend too much time trash talking. I think it gets me in trouble. But Drake, isn't he the most all-time most streamed artist?
He is. I think he's very talented, and some of his music is actually great. There are some tracks that he has out that I like, but I'm just not like a diehard fan of it. Like,
here's the trash talk part. So, if I'm understanding that correctly, he's got like billions of streams, right?
Billions.
But where are they coming from?
I don't know.
Because the people that I talk to, I never I don't hear his music at a wedding or like at a concert.
It's funny. The whole stream. I had this talk when Carlos Manasseh was here from Portugal. We played in Jersey, and we went out to eat, and we were talking about how the streaming business has killed the sales part of music,
album sales,
right? Album sales and all that, because digitally you can manipulate the streams.
If you're an insider, right?
Right. So I mean, what is it to have pay people to just stream your music? You don't. Is it something that it's truthful? Like, are every single one of his streams actually fan base where people listen to the music, or is it just a numbers game and you're just trying to make yourself look better? I
think it's a money numbers game.
Actual hard copies. The label would print out X amount of CDs. Exactly what's being sold.
Yeah. I think to an extent. I wonder how much like Spotify, for instance, purposefully turns a blind eye to the bot plays.
Right. I say that Spotify is just a weird streaming platform.
Yeah.
It's not art. It's for the artists at all.
Do you think that's going to change anytime soon?
I don't know.
They're going to start getting rid of those bots?
I honestly don't know. It's just weird. I think it's this whole digital thing really, it's good and bad because it opens you up to a larger audience. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I don't know who's streaming my music. Mm-hmm. Just 3 months ago on Spotify alone, I had over 3,000 listeners within 2 days because Carl Cox playlisted one of my tracks. And then he redoes his playlist, and then I'm down to 300. And I'm like, it's so weird. How in a day all of a sudden these people just stopped listening to the track.
Oh, you're saying the daily listens went down to 300.
Daily listens went from like in a day. It just went up and then went down.
A spike, yeah.
And I'm just like, so what are you telling me? Because it's on his playlist, they specifically listen to it. Like if they like the track, they'll go to you and listen to the tracks. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's like an SEO type game.
Yeah, it's just like
that they seem to play. Yeah.
It was weird. So I was just like, whatever. I don't even pay attention to it no more.
Well, it's hard because it's hard to sort of play the game for everybody because I think 40 or 50% of Spotify is owned by the major labels.
Yes.
So they've had a lot of trouble. I've spoken with some insiders, people that actually moved to other competing platforms like Pandora, and they actually have complained about how like they have too much of a grip on the algorithm, and that sort of puts their signed artists, gives them a greater advantage over competing artists.
Right.
So I think there lies the end of my trash talk. But I just sort of want to throw that out there for all the listeners who are wondering why some artists are doing better than others. Now, you've seen a good amount of success with some top 10 hits on your ethnic music store charts.
Yeah, TrackSource. I think TrackSource. I made top 10, 2018. I was one of the top 100 techno artists on TrackSource.
That's pretty Diezel, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I had a track called "It's Not Over." It was on a label called "Music Is the Drug." The owner passed away.
Oh,
but that was like one of the first 3 tracks I ever released, and it was like top 10 on TrackSource, which to me was a good accomplishment.
Well, for sure. But what do you attribute that to? What do you attribute some of that success to? Is it just the great management? Something
no,
you did? Did you tour?
As far as like TrackSource and like Beatport, that's basically, and that was all organic too. Like that was no me telling people please go buy my music. I didn't know nothing about that. Mm-hmm. We released the track. Within a month, he's contacted me saying, "Hey, you've been top 10 for the last X amount of weeks," and I didn't even know. And then I get emails from about TrackSource about how I placed for the year. Which was like good. So Beatport, I did a couple top 100 on there too. Yeah, I've had some pretty good responses with my music. And then like when the labels send out their promos, I've had pretty big artists that have been supportive, like Jamie Jones, Richie Horton has downloaded and played my music. Fatboy Slim, Carl Cox playlisted me on Spotify.
Yeah.
So I got some attention from larger artists that have a bigger following, which was good.
That's very impressive.
Yes.
I mean, not that you need to hear that from me, but that's just that's for our audience. It's a big deal, and I'm sure you're pretty proud of that. And you just want to keep pumping it out, right? You just want to keep hitting those goals.
It's attention,
right?
It's organic attention. Like it's nothing, no manipulation with like any type of bots or anything like that. It's just these are real, actual people that are supporting your music, and it feels good.
Do you feel like you want to connect with those people, like at a concert, like you want to know who's streaming, where those streaming numbers are coming from, or do you feel like there's sort of this not glass ceiling but glass barrier between you and like the listeners with these digital streams?
I really don't pay a lot of attention to like sales and streaming numbers. What matters to me is actually seeing people talk about it and support it. Like I don't even care if I had 100 streams on a track, but if I know that some big artist played it at a major festival, to me that's successful.
And that's your main. That's my
main thing. Just getting noticed by the right people and the music getting placed into the right hands. Because right now, the production-wise and records, putting out records, it's flooded. There's millions of producers out there. Anyone could start their own label now. It's not the way it was years ago. You can just open up an LLC and start a new record label and get your tax ID number and start putting out your own music through these self-releasing platforms.
Yep.
So to me, that's anybody could do that now.
Yeah.
But to get noticed by the right people, it's like being a guitar player and Jimi Hendrix is saying, "Hey, I love your music." You know, like it's just that's what I look forward to, and that's what I want to get feedback, from these larger artists saying, "Hey, you know what? That was a good track. I know you are."
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
People that you look up to, people that
Yeah.
you respect, that
Yes.
that you
Yeah.
kind of want to be
Yeah,
like.
and then you start becoming friends with these people in the industry, and it's like years ago I was a huge fan of you, and now we're kind of like working together, and it's just it's a wonderful feeling.
And do you spend time like networking with any of these celebrities? Do you go to these?
I go out. I show up to show. The last couple of years I got married, and had two kids, so I've been staying home mostly. So like
two's a good number. I got two.
Two's a good number. Two girls. Yeah. So
Congrats.
now that they're getting a little older, it's a little easier for me to get back out. I took a little break from doing shows and stuff. I just wanted to be home with my wife and the kids. When my first daughter was born, I was still doing after-hour parties, and I remember coming home at like 9 o'clock in the morning, just like barely keeping my eyes open, doing like a 10-hour set. And my wife's like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym, take the baby. And I'm just like, I'm the worst father in the world. I can't keep my eyes open. I got to feed her. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a break.
A 10-hour set?
Yeah, I used to play like long sets for after hours. But
after hours like event
like
group
after
or?
hour parties.
Oh, after hour
parties. Start
parties,
at like 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I'll get home at like 10 in the morning.
Start at 4 in the morning. I'm trying to rack my head around
some of
that.
them would be like, I would start at 4 when the regular nightclubs would end, and then they start after our parties. So some of them, they want me to do open and close. So I'd be like 4 in the morning. Sometimes I get home 10 in the morning. Sometimes I get home 1 in the afternoon. And so yeah. So like that particular morning I did an after hours, and I came home and I just couldn't keep my eyes open. I just felt horrible. And I'm like, you know what? Let's pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Let me focus on being a dad first, and then when the time's right, I'll be back. But I still produced.
Yeah.
I did a couple regular shows, here and there, just to stay in the loop. But now I'm like, my wife's like, go out and do what you got to do. We're fine. So now I'm back out. I just picked up a residency once a week at the Dirty Library in Astoria. That's every Friday, 10 to 4. The first night was a little slow, and then within a week, everybody picked up, and it's getting better and better.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So now what would constitute like a successful event in that situation?
Just packing it out.
Just filling the house.
Capacity numbers, yeah.
What kind of capacity are
This one's small, so it's a speakeasy room. It's above a local bar. The owner, reached out to me and is interested in doing this weekly event. There's no cover at the door, but it's basically like a Friday night speakeasy room, loungy, 100 people, and we're packed. But I like stuff like that because you connect more.
Yeah.
It's not like 500 people and you're on this high-ledged DJ booth and you don't know who the hell's out there. This is like everybody, hey, what's up, Diezel? They know who you are, you know who they are, and you connect. You play music that they love. We vibe out. You're there till 4 in the morning. Like last Friday, they were ready to kick. The security guards are like, come on, hitting the watches. It's like 4:15, and they're like cheering, encore, and they want more, and we had to go home.
Well, it's good.
But
they
like
love
stuff
so
like
much.
that is what I like. Because those are actual lovers of the music.
Yeah.
They're not going out to just go out.
Right.
Like they're coming here because they know they're going to hear something that they love. It's Friday night. They had a long work week. Have a couple of drinks, dance, and go home.
And they're there to enjoy the music.
They're there for the right for what I would say the right reasons.
And I would agree because
Yes.
it's difficult for musicians to, and I've spoken with so many, to do a performance where a person's back is to them, or where like it's just about the networking. You could say it's hurtful, but it's not enjoyable, and it's not like it sort of misses the whole reason why a musician wants to be a musician. Like by definition, you're performing for them. You're trying to share your music.
Right.
So
yeah, this is a little more intimate, and I think you connect a little better.
So you would rather play an intimate show with 100 people instead of over like 7,000 people, where it's like people are just like screaming and yelling and
I've done
spitballs.
larger venues. Me personally, and I even said this in another interview I did for a magazine. I'd rather do smaller venues like this, 50 to 100 people, 200 people, but at least you're there connecting. People actually there, like on this Friday party, people are there and they're vibing with you. It's not 3,000 people deep and they're sitting on their phones and not paying attention to what's going on. They're there for the music.
Now, when somebody books you, are they going through your manager or do they just book you directly?
It depends. If I know somebody personally, I don't get bougie on people and be like, contact my manager. I feel like it's just
They don't require you. The management doesn't require you to.
No, I mean, well, so let's say you own a place. I know you for years, and you're like, "Hey, Diezel, I want to put you in my spot." I'd be like, "Fine." Then I'll work out the logistics with you verbally, and then be like, "Listen, from here, just contact Biagio, and he'll set everything up. Send contracts or whatever."
Now, how did you end up with management versus just doing stuff by yourself? And do you prefer management over being independent?
I prefer the manager I have now because I know him since pre-K.
No way.
And I trust him. Like for me personally, I don't think I'm on that level where you need to go through 4 different people to connect to, to contact me or connect with me and talk about business. But at the same time, I feel as I'm growing, I need to have someone that's going to be on my team that I can trust, and not someone who sees me as a cash cow that's going to, they're just seeing it because they want to make money off of whatever I might be pulling in. He's there because we love each other. He's like my brother. I know that when he's got my back, it's legit. It's not because he just works for me. It's so when because he manages another artist, a singer, Bria Lee, who I worked with. I produced for her. She had a couple of amazing tracks that she put out with Republic Records. And so I've been working together with her. And I was like, "Hey, you're managing her. Why don't you manage me?" Like a few years back. And he was like, "Sure." And that's how we worked. It was a handshake and a hug, and that's it.
Sorry, just so I understand. So you produced music for Bria Lee,
right? So Bria Lee's on Republic Records. And a few years back, she had a hit One Shot with Fat Joe and Pitbull. And then I remixed that track for them, and Republic was supposed to put it out, but they didn't want to put it out under my name. They wanted to put it under one of their producers' names.
They wanted to buy it out from you?
Yeah, they wanted it. And from what I was told, I mean, I don't know. I didn't have the conversation. It was relayed back to me, but they were willing to release this remix, which I still have, and I still play. And but they weren't willing to give me the credit for it. So I'd rather have the credit than have the money.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry. So they want to buy you out.
Yeah, they were going to give me. From what I was told, there was a number that they were willing to negotiate, but I wouldn't get the credit. There would be someone else's name as the remixer.
And now, if that number was high enough, would you have taken that?
No.
No matter how high if they gave you
that's my art.
$50,000, or you just would have said no.
That's my work.
Good for you. So now, and in retrospect, did you make the right decision?
Absolutely.
And how do you know that? Because it launched your career. What happened? Like,
it didn't launch for me, it's successful because I didn't sell out.
Okay.
Which I would never do. This is something I do music because I love to do it.
Yeah.
I don't care if I never make $1 off of it. I do it because this is what I love to do. It's my passion. It's what I want to do. It's what makes me. Makes my day better. When I have a bad day going making music, I feel better.
But clearly opportunities came your way as a result of releasing this, no?
No, I mean, well, because of the track, no, because nobody knew about it.
But your name was on it, no?
My name's on it, but it never got released.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's not released. So that's like my little personal weapon now when I play.
Oh, it's your personal weapon that...
Like when I play my shows. Like I played it recently a couple of weeks ago, and everybody went nuts. Like, holy, what track is this? And I'm like, see, this one's a bomb. I'm not giving it to anybody.
So you only play it at shows?
At my shows, and I'm not even giving it to anybody to play.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Because I can...
And every time I play the track, people are like, please, can I get a copy of it? And I'm like,
and you're like, no.
Nope.
Now, when is DJ Diezel going to release this track?
I don't know. I was talking with Bria the other day about it.
Yeah.
And my manager. So I'm going to come up with something. But I have actually 3 tracks. I'm actually working on new music with her, not even in the house music genre, like jazz.
Really?
Yeah, I'm venturing out to other genres.
Now, how are you working on jazz? Are you bringing in pianists or?
She's a pianist.
Okay.
So we have her, and then whatever sounds I've been working with,
rhythms and
putting together.
Stuff.
Yeah. So we have one that we've just finished up, and she did the writing and everything, and I did the production part.
But
so we're gonna do it. She's a writer, singer, and plays piano.
But she's a pop artist, or she's a jazz artist?
The music she has out was like popish. Her album that I don't know if she did an album, she did a few releases with Republic. Is like in the pop genre, but her sound is very jazzy, soulful, and I guess that's what she really loves to do. So when we we actually put a studio. We made a studio in Brooklyn so we can work together.
Really?
And so far the first track, because I'm working on an album for next year. I have one album out on Opium Music that came out years ago, 2020. It was like 8 tracks. And now this one's gonna be a 12-track album, but I want to put different genres on. I don't want it to be just techno house. I want people to see that I can produce other genres. So like I'm like, venturing out, testing my creative abilities.
Why not?
Yeah. So far it's coming together. I have like 5 tracks that are complete mix mastered, and then we're gonna do this one with her, and then do a remix, like house version.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I have so many questions. I don't even know where to start. But let me start with this. You obviously have a lot of aspirations. I mean, you're growing your career. You're like, you're kind of venturing out into different musical genre territory.
Yes.
Are you looking to what are you looking to do in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years?
Well, next year I'm hoping to put out this new album. I want to start traveling more for other venues.
Like internationally or just
internationally. I mean, I played in St. Martin a few times for a Labor Day SXM festival that they had there. I want to get out, venture out more. Like I'm going to go to Costa Rica in January, check out the BPM festival. Hopefully maybe one day be on the bill for that. Yeah, that's basically it, and like other nightclubs and, other venues that are international and that, within the country too. I want to get out of New York a little bit, spread.
Okay. You've been here too long, huh?
Yeah. I need to travel.
Now, how about your kids?
I mean, if I'm gone for a couple of days, I'm probably gonna miss them. Missing them right now.
They probably miss you.
They will miss me. I mean, if I'm going anywhere good, I'll just make a family trip out of it. My wife will have to babysit while I'm not working.
St. Martin, that sounds pretty good to me.
St. Martin was great, yeah.
So does your wife ever say, "Hey, you got to take us along"? That's a prerequisite to you signing the contract.
She's fine. I mean, I would want to take them along. That's how I'll get homesick.
Yeah,
I'm a family man. You're a
family man.
I love my kids. I love my wife.
Do you feel like there's like a tension between the music production and touring career and raising a family for most people? I mean, you obviously seem to be doing it right.
Yeah, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, it's very hard, I think, right now because my kids are very young. So when they're first born...
How old are they again?
2 and 1.
Very young, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think like having newborns, it's best for me to be there. I just want to feel right traveling and not being home. God forbid something was to happen and I'm not there.
Yeah.
As they get older, it's easier to have a babysitter too when they're a little older. If I want to leave them with somebody in my family for a few days, when they're kind of like self-caring, taking care of themselves, it's a little easier than being infants and every 3 hours they have to eat and stuff like that. So as they're getting older, I'm noticing it's getting a little easier for me to get out.
I'm assuming you have a lot of sleepless nights with your kids at that age. As I remember, I have 2 kids, so yes. I got almost 4-year-old. I have an 11-year-old.
Yes.
It's been a while, but
yeah.
Am I right?
My older daughter, it's funny. Since she's born in May, like 4 or 5 months, she would be in the studio with me on my lap and telling me what sounds like she likes.
Oh, that's
clapping.
Adorable.
Like I would pick out kick drums and I'd be like, you like this one? You like this one? No. Now she sits on my lap and she's like, Daddy, no. And then she'll like whistle a sound that I download or whatever. And she like my last 3 tracks, she picked out every sound.
No way.
That was on there.
We've got a future producer.
Yeah, we got something future there. And she already knows how to mix.
We have a spot out here on the couch. You could have had her.
She was, when I was leaving, she was like, she wanted to come with me. But
have you ever had an interview where your kids are like crawling all over you, or like somebody starts crying in the middle?
No, not yet. But I'm sure
it'll happen soon. Daddy, I need you to wipe me. Yeah. Well, you're truly blessed, on the professional sense and in terms of the family and in terms of like, I mean, you're blessed just living out here on Long Island. I mean, what's better than that?
I know. Yeah, Long Island's great, except for the traffic when you're traveling from the city.
Well, I'm sure you've been to LA now.
I've been to LA, yeah.
That's probably, I feel like that's 10 times worse.
Worse.
And Brooklyn is way worse than Long Island.
Brooklyn is horrible.
Yeah.
I'm from Williamsburg. You go down Bedford Avenue, it takes you 20 minutes to get down a block.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Whenever I try to go to Jersey, I've tripled my prices personally because of Brooklyn. Right. Solely Brooklyn is the reason.
Yeah.
So, but you have a studio there, right?
I have a studio in Williamsburg, yeah. Yeah, that we just finished putting together.
You want to contribute to the traffic.
Sometimes it takes me too long to get home, and I just don't feel like making music when I get here. So tired. So now when I'm in Brooklyn and I have an idea, I go straight to that studio and do it. And when I'm in Long Island, I have my home studio.
And where do you find yourself? What's your preference, home studio or home?
Home.
Why not, right?
Home, yeah. I've noticed I'm more creative. I am more clear-headed on a full night's sleep. And you're going to laugh, but it's the truth. I made some of my best tracks at like 6 in the morning, Uber Eats, McDonald's breakfast. For some reason, McDonald's breakfast does something to my brain.
Probably just breakfast in general.
I eat other breakfasts. I'm just like, when I eat McDonald's, there's something in that food. I don't know what it is. And I just start pumping out music. It's crazy. It satisfies something in my brain.
Now, you've helped me very conveniently segue into pumping out to pumping diesel.
Yes.
Obviously, you lift weights.
I do, yeah. I mean, not as much now as I used to.
Okay.
I was like a big gym buff years ago. But, I don't know,
So what gave?
I mean, I'll still work out, but I'm just not as into it as I was. Meaning, like, I don't need to be the big meathead of the crowd no more. I just care about being healthy and staying in somewhat shape.
Okay. So it's about your heart health as opposed
now
to
it's about my actual health as I'm getting older, yeah.
Okay. I guess it's about feeling good in the morning.
It's about feeling good in the morning. And it's about knowing I'm not going to drop dead tomorrow.
Yikes.
Like, you know.
Do you have any reason to believe that?
No, it's just, it's as you get older, you got to take care of yourself a little better. Like, I have friends diabetics now after they hit over. I'm 43. And, some guys became diabetics. They're obese and stuff like that. And I just, I have kids. I want to try to be here as long as I can for them.
It's funny in this country how we tend to be supposedly living longer but sicker.
Right. It's the food.
It's the food, yeah. I do my best to cook for my family,
right,
even though it takes so much time.
Right.
I mean, I spent like an hour cooking yesterday, just like make something that my kids can eat. How about you? Do you have time for that stuff?
No, I cook. Yeah, I cook. I actually enjoy cooking, but it's a chore.
Yeah.
Buying the food, prepping the food, cooking the food, cleaning the mess.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids get a little older. I'll make them do the dishes.
Yeah,
we have a dishwasher. I've just never used the thing.
You don't use the dishwasher?
No, I just don't see what the dishwasher does. You load it up. It takes time to clean. It takes me 2 seconds to clean a dish. And then, if I need to reuse that dish while it's in the dishwasher, I got to stop the dishwasher. I tell my wife, you do the dishwasher, I'll wash by hand.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that.
Yeah, I'm a little old school with that.
Well, yeah, I can totally identify with the whole, my kids are going to go help me do the dishes or they're going to do the sous chef or maybe cook.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to put in their time. What can you tell me about biohacking? Can you in
terms of what? Like what you should take or?
Yeah, well, what do you're a veteran, you've been doing this for a while, so you see the benefit, the pros and cons.
Okay.
A guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he I don't know if this is really the case, but he really built himself up, and then he had heart disease or he had heart trouble, and they told him to sort of let I guess loosen up on.
I think
some weightlifting.
I'll be honest with you, it's hard to tell anybody exactly how they should train and diet because everybody's genetically different.
Yeah, and
you have different blood types, so I would do personally might be different than what you would need.
But what could you share about biohacking? Like, do you recommend? You don't have to even prescribe a supplement, but
a supplement. I believe you should take in enough protein to build lean muscle tissue, but anybody knows that. Where you're going to get your protein from, it's hard to tell. I mean, whey protein is very good. I took it. I still take it. But they say it's good to get your protein from food, animal protein. is the best way. But it's hard. It's hard because they tell you that the meats are washed with pneumonia, and you got to find organic farms to buy your meat. Like my wife found a place that they mail it to us now. They ship the meat to us. Everything's packaged and frozen, and there's no antibiotics and everything, which is what we've been using now, like for steaks and burgers and stuff like that.
Like locally.
Yeah, it's like a local farm she found somewhere on Long Island. And they send it to the house. You put an order in of what you want. It gets shipped to the house, frozen, and they're nice cuts.
And it's the same price as like a Whole Foods, or
it's really not that bad. I mean, I've been living off of that for the last year, and it's pretty good.
Grass-fed organic.
Grass-fed organic.
You can't get better than that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, because they tell you if you go to the supermarket, if the redder the meat is, the more chemical it has.
Really?
From what I've been reading, yeah. I mean. I don't know how true it is, but just the fact that it's being said. I have kids. I don't want them to eat stuff that's got pneumonia or whatever chemicals they're pumping into it.
Well, I know in the case of salmon, they put in dyes in the food.
Yeah, I don't eat salmon.
So you don't like the taste of salmon?
I don't eat salmon at all. And then when I was younger, I was training to compete once, which I dropped out of because I just couldn't do it.
With weightlifting?
Huh?
With weightlifting?
Yeah, with weightlifting. But my trainer used to order boxes of tilapia and have it shipped to my house. And if I hear it, if I see it, I get so nauseous.
You're sick.
I used to have to burn it in the broiler with lemon and cut it up into pieces and swallow it pill form, like I was taking pills.
You and I are alike. I've been to the supermarket where I would buy food like tilapia or even salmon, and if it's like slightly off, I just get frustrated because I cook the day of because I know that it takes like one day for this stuff to start smelling rancid.
Yeah,
and even the lemon helps a little bit, and the braising it. But I got to tell you, we got into grilling this past year. I don't know if you like grilling.
Good.
I find that
they say real men grill.
I guess so. I mean, we've been grilling for a few thousand years now.
Yeah,
if you consider the campfires and that's how it started before stoves came around.
Right.
Definitely tastes better.
It does. Absolutely.
So yeah, I can definitely identify. And it's kind of sad to hear this because you'd probably still be into tilapia if the food was fresh or like.
I'm not into fillets. I'm not really a big fish guy.
Yeah.
But I ate it because that's what they were telling me to eat, and I had to force feed myself. So I had to figure out a way to get this down the hatch.
Oh my gosh!
So like I said, I would chop it up into pieces and drink water and swallow it like I was taking pills. And it just makes me sick now. Like I don't eat salmon. I like bison. Venison is good for you.
Yeah.
Like my most of my family, my uncles, my cousins, they go hunting, and I'll be like, give me a few pounds of the meat, freeze it, and I have. It's just a healthier choice, animal protein wise. They say bison's the most healthiest, less fat, high protein content, and then you have venison number 2 on the list. So that's good to eat.
Yeah, lean meat, I guess.
Lean.
Poultry? How about poultry?
I eat chicken, turkey. That's about it. But even like I have to go to a local butcher to get the chicken. Like I don't buy anything from the supermarket, Purdue and all that stuff. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, we're like cut from the same cloth here. I have a lot of concerns about the food industry.
Yeah.
So it's nice to talk to a like-minded person. I know there are a lot of other people. There's a growing number of people that have concerns because of just like all these diseases. Anyway, I don't want to veer too much off of music, unless you do, of course. But I wanted to ask you about, do you have like a favorite song that you've released?
Yeah, my favorite song that I have released is "Feel My Body."
Oh, right. You mentioned
1980 recordings. Yeah, that one. And
is that just what makes you love that song so much? Is it like the lyrics, or is it just the rhythm?
The whole vibe of it. It's like an Afro tech vibe. And I would say the other one that's my favorite is a track called "The Sizzle" that I released on Carlos Manassas' label with my friend Travis. He's the vocalist on it. And that track has a lot of meaning for me, but it's also, I would say, my top 3 releases.
Do you mind telling us about the meaning?
Yes, I can. It's a little and I get a little choked up sometimes when I talk about it.
All right.
So when I met my wife, one of her close friends is Travis Risueño. He's the vocalist on the track, and it was his idea to make the track. He got diagnosed with ALS.
Oh.
So to watch him go through that is very hard for me.
Yeah. It's a very gradual decline,
yeah, it's
right?
just, I mean, thankfully he's still here and we still talk, and we got to do the tracks. He's a huge house music lover. Chus and Ceballos are his favorite. So when he got diagnosed with this, he was still, good, walking and everything. And we were at a barbecue and wound up eating these gummies or whatever. And we were watching the trees and like everything's vibrant. It was just funny. And a friend of mine was grilling behind us, but we didn't know. It's just me and Travis laying there talking about stuff. And we heard like this crackling noise. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what the heck's in that edible, but he's like, I can't get this sound out of my ear. He's like, me too. And I'm like, it's like a sizzle sound. He's like, yeah. And then my friend Pat's behind me. He's like, you two idiots. He's like, I'm grilling steaks. And I'm like, oh my God. And Travis like, listen, we got to do a track called The Sizzle. I was like, I'll only do it if you come up with the lyrics and record yourself saying whatever you want to say, and I'll produce the track. And he did. So I had got that released through Carlos Manasseh, which is another one of his favorite producers and DJs besides myself, obviously. Of course, I'm his number one. But I also got Pablo Ceballos, part of Chus and Ceballos, to support that track and play it at big festivals, which I think was great and made him feel really good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, when you collaborate with other artists or other people that you either are interested in working with or they're interested in working with you, do you find that there are any challenges that you can share with the audience about maybe having them change the track into something that's maybe of their interest that you don't really envision?
It depends on who I'm working with. So if I'm working with a vocalist, basically I'll let them handle the lyric content and however they want to present the vocal. I'll give some input, my insight once the track is done, say, hey, if we change this, how do you feel about it? As far as producing the actual music, that's on me, unless I'm working with another producer. So like sometimes, if there's remixes or whatever I did, like when I did with Funk Investigation, we went back and forth, with the remix. You change the stem or they'll change the stem, whatever it is. But it just depends on who I'm working with. I'm very open-minded. I'm not one of those people that's like, this has to be my way or else. I'm always open to hearing insight and how do you feel about how you want to present this music to the world. There's a certain sound you want to do? Is there a certain way you want to edit the track? And I'm always, like I said, I'm open-minded to that.
So you'd say that flexibility is sort of key to a successful collab.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, if you're gonna work with someone, you gotta make sure you put something together that everybody's happy with.
For sure. Do you find that there's like a lack of alignment between your listeners and what you think sounds good? Like, you release a song like Sizzle. Obviously, that was successful, but maybe a different song. And then you find that it kind of flops, or maybe it doesn't do as well as you anticipated that it should have done.
I don't know. I think
did you not pay attention to that stuff?
I haven't really had any issue where I question myself about that. It's just, to me, some records do better than others. It just takes a liking, and also your marketing. If you don't get it into the right hands, like I did some labels that I released on that I feel if I would have released with another label, the track might have done better. Just because of their whole marketing system of how they got the music out. To put music out on a streaming platform, let's say like Beatport, there's thousands of tracks coming out per day.
Yeah.
How are you going to get noticed on a list? You're going to tell me that majority of the public and the fans are going to sit there. First of all, fans don't really go on Beatport from what I see. They rather use Spotify or iTunes or Apple, right?
Yeah.
But to go like on Beatport and see 1,000 different tracks coming out, no one's sitting there listening to every track for the day. They're gonna go to their favorite label, favorite artist, see who's out, and download.
Or maybe playlist.
If you get on a playlist, you got to. Some of these labels need to work on that and putting out playlists and help their artists. If I'm gonna give you my music, and I trust you as a label to market me correctly, you need to do what I'm expecting. Some of these labels, they're not ready to do that. They're very boutique, small labels. I don't think they're growing. They don't think they get it yet. So that's why it's nice to do your homework on who you want to present your music to for release. Otherwise, you're going to have to do it yourself.
Do your homework as far as like seeing their track record of success with other artists?
Yeah, well, it took me a while to understand. Like when I first started releasing music, I remember talking with Scribble, and because he just started a new group with my friend Dom called Street Slang, and I remember talking.
Dom
with him.
Tafaro?
Dom Tafaro.
We didn't quite do a performance together, but we spoke on the phone a few times. Back
Dom
in the
Tafaro,
day.
good friend of mine. He's gonna play with me.
DJ
in a couple
Surge
weeks.
would connect.
Oh yeah,
us.
He's
years
cool
ago,
with Surge. Yeah. But he's linked up with Scribble.
Uh-huh.
I remember me and Scribble playing Freeport together at that time, and I was just starting. It was back in 2018, putting my music out. And
he's got some cool productions.
Yeah, they're good. They're actually very good, very talented guys.
Yeah.
But I remember Scribble saying like, what is it that you're looking to do? Because they're looking to just get on top labels and get noticed. Me, I'm like, I just want to get the music out. I don't care what label I get on. I just want to get the music out. But now I understand why he was telling me you should, do your homework and focus on what labels, be selective on who you release with, because some labels don't treat their artists properly. Not that it's right or wrong. Some of them just don't put enough effort in to get your music marketed correctly. So now I learned that, and now I understand what he was telling me.
And so if you found the best label, do you plan on just sort of sticking with that label? Because
I would like to. Like Nervous Records is my favorite label personally, and to be part of that label is one of my biggest accomplishments. And then I became friends with the A&R, my A&R Andrew Salzano. But like he's accepted the tracks obviously that are released through them, but he's a tough nut to crack. Like I'll send him tracks and he'll be like, I like it, but it's not. And I'm like, but it's better than what I'm like, well, I feel like this is better than what we released. And we'll like just laugh about it. And he's like, listen, keep sending me your music. We're friends now, we're cool. But it's like, so I try to stick with one label, but if they're not going to accept the tracks then you got to farm it out to somebody else.
Interesting. And that's interesting. So it's sort of a trade-off. You can kind of sit on the song for a while, keep working on it, and maybe release it with your ideal label, or alternatively, you could just sort of get it, pump it out. Because, I mean, I get it. The pressures to kind of earn the income, and you need to keep your fans interested and engaged regularly from month to month.
Yes.
So
you need to stay consistent. But here's the thing: if you stick with one label, you're only catering to that label's fan base. You got to remember, there's thousands of fans out there. Not everybody likes that label. So I think it's good to venture out to other labels, be part of multiple labels who have different followings. That's how you're going to get known.
So diversify is the name of the game.
Yes.
And now, what are other ways to like diversify as far as income?
As income,
what do you do to diversify, or are you not worried about that?
I don't worry too much about the income, because if you're getting, me personally, my advice is if you're getting into this because you think you're going to become rich and famous, you're going to be disappointed. Sales wise, music, nobody's making money like they did years ago. I mean, there's only a few labels that I actually see payouts from, depending on what kind of contract you sign off on and what kind of split you do on your publishing and royalty wise. Here's what I say. Your music career is like an investment. If you're dedicated and it's what your passion is, eventually, it may take longer than some, eventually you can make a living doing it, I feel. If you're consistent and stick to it. The problem is a lot of people give up. So therefore, if you want to be an artist, a DJ, producer / artist, then do it, but also have a job.
Okay.
You understand?
Side hustle.
You need to have, and then let me tell you this. There's nothing wrong with having multiple sources of income. Whether you invest, work, whatever it is.
But are you doing this full time, or do you have other sources of income?
I do it full time. I own a pest control business, and my wife and I have real estate. So I have sources of income.
Diversified, right?
I have sources of income, yeah. But even if I wasn't doing this, I would still have multiple sources of income. It's just something that you do. You know, there's nothing wrong with maybe being an owner of multiple businesses. Get your foot into whatever you can. Make your money.
Yeah.
And do this, too, if that's what you love to do. But at least when you're not making money doing this, you have money coming in. So,
Right.
if, like, for me, if I don't make money off a show, like, you know, if I do shows for free or if I don't make money off of a track that gets released, I'm fine with it because I'm financially fine, you know, where I don't get discouraged and be like, you know what, this isn't for me. I didn't make $1 off that show. Some shows I invest in, you know, put the money up for rental equipment or, you know, if the promoters or owners of the venue are like, hey, we're going to give this to you, but we're not going to put up any money to invest, you know, because they don't know nothing about the business. I'll be like, that's fine. Give me the party. I'll pay the openers. I'll get the rental equipment. And whenever I get into the, you know, but I'll take a cut of the door or a percentage of the bar and figure out some kind of deal like that.
That's pretty generous. I'm sure they appreciate that.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, stuff like that. So you got to be willing to invest in yourself. You know, if I, you know, like if I was releasing music and it's like I need to pay for advertising, the label's not going to do it, I'll do it. Because I believe in myself and I want myself to be successful. And that's what certain people, I think, need to learn and understand. Like, this isn't going to be like you come into the thing and you're some Mr. Talent and everybody's like, hey, we got you. It's you need to do for yourself. Don't expect anybody to do for you what you're not willing to do for yourself.
You guys hear that? It's a business. You got to invest in yourself. You want other people to consider investing in you.
Correct.
So, some wise words from DJ Diezel. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for sharing your insights. I could talk to you all day.
I know. Me too.
And I guess you sort of led into my last question, which was pretty much advice for aspiring musicians. Is there anything else like you'd like to share for people? Because there's a lot of people who want to do what you do.
They do. I would say this. We're in a very inclined. Hold on, the right words I'm trying to say. As far as learning to DJ, technology-wise, it's very inclined in the sense of it's a digital base now where you're learning off of a program or buying a controller or whatever it is, and you have the sync button. One, if you want to use the sync button, go ahead. Doesn't matter. When you're a DJ, it's all about your selection and getting that crowd to feel what you're doing and to vibe with you. But if you want to be respected, you need to learn the art of DJing and learning vinyl and whatever else you need to do to be respected and for yourself. Because anyone can push that sync button and play a track. So if you're going to learn how to DJ, learn the actual art form of it and be a DJ. And also, if you're looking to progress your career, you need to learn to produce and make your own music and make your own sound and create something that no one else has. Stand out from the other million people out there that claim to be a DJ.
Of which there are many.
There are many.
Everybody and their aunt wants to be a DJ.
Yeah.
Well, those were words to the wise. Guys, I hope you guys are listening very carefully to what DJ Diezel was just sharing with you, because those are some inspiring points that he just made. And I just want to thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Where can listeners find you?
I run a podcast called Untamed Radio. That's streamed on Spotify, Mixcloud, Google Play. I'm not Spotify. SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Apple Podcasts, Google, iHeartRadio. It's on a bunch of them. It's hosted by Syndicast, so they pump it out to all the streaming platforms. I have releases out on multiple labels that you can stream on Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, Beatport, TrackSource.
And do you have a website or a social media?
www.djdiezel.com.
Okay. I
have merchandise you can buy on there, Diesel shirts, shirts for your kids and stuff like that. I have all everything's on my website. You know, my articles and magazines, whatever it is, anything that I've done. My music links are on there. My channels are on there, or anything you need. Okay. And my upcoming performances are all posted on there.
Very cool. So, guys, go check him out and send him a DM. Say hello and listen to his music.
Yes.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Soundwave Chronicles podcast, where you can stream our interviews wherever you get your podcasts. We hope you enjoyed the interview and learned something new today. And if you did, please leave a review so we can keep bringing you great content. Thank you and have a great rest of the week.